Spider Pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Oh, he is a spider. Spider pig.
It's time to I ain't gonna lie, yo. That was kind of trash. I'm gonna keep it real with you. But anyways, my God, yo, we're here today. Super excited, bro, because I want to talk about a show that I haven't watched in a long time, and I'm about to rewatch because I'm about to do a video on it. Well, like, not this video, but like the video on my main channel, Sensei, where I cover things. Yeah. Anyways, we're about to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, I gotta chill. All right, I'm just super hyped right now because I really like Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. But the other day, I was sitting and I was thinking, man, what show haven't I really talked about that I really liked from my childhood? And then, ding, it hit me. I didn't remember Pokemon video, and I never did a remember Digimon video. But then it hit me again. I haven't seen Digimon in so long, and I don't know enough about it right now to make a video. So I chose the next best thing, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm super excited to rewatch Yu-Gi-Oh! Because there's a lot of funny things that I'll get to see that I just don't remember.
Say goodbye to Exodia!
But today I want to talk about what I do remember and like, including the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Cause bro, Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are fire, bro. Like, let's just be real. But I'm gonna also be honest with y'all, bro. None of us played that game right. Let me tell you exactly how we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game when we were kids, bro. We didn't use the goddamn rules. That was number one. Also, any card that we drew in our opening hand, we just played them. So if you had your best card in your hand, you just win. Let's just say they play a monster with 2,000 attack. They just play it. I don't know what has 2,000 attack. It don't matter. I don't care. Big spaghetti monster, 2,000 attack. You look in your hand and you got a blue eyes white dragon there and you're like, man, what do all these stars mean? It must just mean that it's awesome. But really it means you have to sacrifice multiple creatures in order to summon it. But all that shit was out the window. Nigga, it's in my hand, I'ma play it. Then you play Blue Eyes White Dragon, you blow up the spaghetti monster. They take 1,000 damage, and it's turn one. The next turn, they look at their hand, and they got a big 5-headed dragon, and it's purple. And they're like, why is this card purple? I don't know, it must be because it's rare. And then they play this fusion monster that you need a polymerization and 5 dragons to make. But who cares? It doesn't matter, nigga. I have it in my hand, I'ma play it. And they blow your fucking dragon up. You take 2,000 damage, and that is how the game went. There were no rules there, bro. People were just playing trap cards. We weren't putting them down and then waiting to react with the trap card. We were just playing them like spells. I guess I'll play this Monster Reborn and then play another Monster Reborn and then play Pot of Greed, and draw 4 cards. And then I'm gonna play Trap Hole and kill all your stuff. And then I'm gonna play Mirror Force. Oh, you didn't even attack yet, but it says destroy it. So I'll just destroy your whole front row, you know? That's just how we play. Nigga, we did not know the rules to that game, bro. Looking back at it, bro, I must have been one of the slowest niggas, bro, in my friend group, bro. We were all dumb. The same thing with Pokemon cards, like, but we're not talking about Pokemon cards. That shit trash. Anyways, Yu-Gi-Oh cards were really fun to play with, man, and collect. I really wish I had all of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards from my adolescence years, because I probably would have had some cards that were worth some money. I had a lot of like first edition cards and stuff, and I just damaged them, destroyed them, water damage, you know, dropping them out of my pocket, stepping on them, using it to get a piece of that rib that got caught in my molar that one time. You know, I just, whatever, bro. Don't tell me that y'all never used the trading card as a flosser, bro. I know y'all have. But the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon was really where I felt at home at, bro, because not only was that show really, really, really corny, it was the kind of corny and cringy that was hilarious, bro. It had Joey Wheeler in it. Motherfucker talks like he's from Brooklyn or something, bro. That is the most funniest shit ever, bro. My name is Joey Wheeler. Now I'm here to play Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
You should have paid more attention to my last turn, Keith.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. That accent was terrible, but y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know how that nigga sound. But basically, for those of y'all that have been living under a rock or something, Yu-Gi-Oh follows Yugi Moto. He is the grandson of somebody that owned a trading card game shop. And basically, they just play for fun. And we meet the ultimate hater in the very first episode, Seto Kaiba. You know, one time Seto Kaiba told Yugi that if he didn't let him win, he was going to kill himself. Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to get the editor to censor that, because I don't think I could say that on YouTube, but that really happened. He said he was going to commit not alive if he didn't let him win. That is crazy, bro. What kind of crazy shit is this? And he's already got an awesome life. He's rich. He owns a company. Why do you have to win duels so bad, bro? What are you compensating for? That nigga had that drip, though. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Every time you saw Kaiba, he had that shit on, yo. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know he was getting them hoes. But the whole beginning of the story just kind of goes back and forth between Yugi and Kaiba and their rivalry. But Yugi always had an ace up his sleeve, the Millennium Puzzle. This nigga has the coldest chain in existence. I am not gonna lie, that shit has to be 24 karat gold. Bro got a fucking pyramid on his chest, bro, that turns him into a pharaoh from a long time ago. How cool is that, bro? This nigga gets to turn into an ancient Egyptian person that literally created the game of Duel Monsters. Not only that, he was cold at it. This nigga is nice. Every time he's about to lose, he just turns into this nigga, the Pharaoh, bro. And the nigga is always nice. I think his name is Kami or something. I forgot. What is his name? I'm gonna just call him Pharaoh. It doesn't matter. He's cold at the game, and he always helps Yugi win. It's kind of like Naruto with Kurama, or, you know, Goku and training, or, you know, Naruto and Kurama. I ran out of examples, but you know what I'm saying, bro. The people that always got somebody inside them. Pause. Huh? That was crazy. Or around them, putting a battery in their back, making them stronger, making them big and strong and tough. That's what the Pharaoh is to Yugi, and he always helps him win. But it doesn't matter, because it's funny, bro. Moving on, though, there are other Millennium items, like the Millennium Eye, that is held by the Orochimaru of this world. Maximum Pegasus. Wait. Maximilian Pegasus? I think his name is just Pegasus, nigga. I think it's Maximilian Pegasus. I don't remember, but it's this weird ass Orochimaru dude. He be acting super zesty, talking like James from Team Rocket, talking like Orochimaru. Who else he talk like? Orochimaru. I be running out of examples after two people, but bro, mad zesty, he tangy a little bit. I called him Italian dressing growing up. I ain't gonna lie, but my point is, yo, Pegasus got a Millennium Eye, which does like different things, has different abilities. There's different Millennium items that do different things, is what I'm trying to say. And Yugi encounters a bunch of people with different Millennium items throughout the story. There's a bunch of different like plot lines that happen. There's a bunch of different objectives that Yugi has. There's a bunch of different things that I like about it. But my favorite plot line and favorite arc in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Battle City. It was by far the coldest and coolest thing because that introduced Egyptian god cards. Back then, bro, Egyptian god cards were like those things that we felt like we had to have. And if you didn't have it, at least one, you were a lame nigga. And everybody was seeking and sought after it, even though it was really easy to get Egyptian god cards back then. So easy. They were in like just regular ass decks you could get from Walmart and shit. None of us had money, transportation, or a way to get these decks. So when a kid did get an Egyptian god card, he was him, bro. You were on the playground like goddamn the king of the jungle. You were Mufasa out that bitch, bro. All you had to do was go, and now I summon Slicer the Sky Dragon, or Obelix the Tormentor, or the Winged Dragon of Ra. Bro, anytime you summon any of those cards, bro, it shut down the whole scene. Everybody's like, especially if you had the Winged Dragon of Ra, bro, because Merrick had that nigga, and he was so cold, bro. Gold ass. Fucking raw, bro. He's raw, bro. Like Egyptian mythology, bro. Raw, bro. That's hard. I ain't gonna lie. I had all three of the Egyptian god cards. I got them in this like special like 10 or whatever. I ordered from eBay. I stole my mom's credit card to get it. I'm not gonna hold you, mom. Rest in peace to you. I love you so much. I don't think I ever told you I did that. I'm sorry if you're listening. But you know, you live and you learn, you let live and learn, and live and learn and live and learn. I learned my lesson, bro, is what I'm trying to say. And did I ever steal again after that? Yes, I did. I'm not gonna lie. I was a thief. Well, I wasn't really like a full-blown thief, but I definitely stole after that, like here and there. Like, you know, fuck it. You know, it is what it is, you know, like, I was dumb. I was a bad kid, all right? I was bad. I also was stealing Yu-Gi-Oh cards from Walmart all the time, and I would take them to school and flip them. I told y'all that story on this channel already, and I thought I was going to get arrested, but I was like 11. So they just made me give them the stuff back and told my mom, you know. And then they banned me from that Walmart, I think, for like a year, but I still went every time my mom went, and no one ever said anything. Yu-Gi-Oh, guys, Yu-Gi-Oh. The greatest, not greatest, but it's probably the second greatest trading card game ever, next to Magic the Gathering, the superior trading card game. You know, it is what it is. Yo. I know y'all probably mad in the comments about me saying that, but I don't care. I don't care. Magic the Gathering's better. The game is more fun. You have more control over the game. There's a car in the background. I'm about to summon my Obelisk the Tormentor on that nigga. You know what I'm saying? But bro, you remember Yu-Gi-Oh? It's really that gas, bro. I like Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, man. Can't wait to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh, watch Yu-Gi-Oh. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. Really fun. Yu-Gi-Oh!
The Dark Magician archetype, known in the Japanese as the Black Magician archetype, is a series of spellcaster monsters made famous by their original member, the Dark Magician, with him being the signature monster of the most famous Yu-Gi-Oh main character, Yu-Gi-Moto. As one of the oldest Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the game, originally being released in the very first Yu-Gi-Oh pack, Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, way back in 2002, you might be surprised to hear it didn't become a legitimate archetype until the release of the Eye of Timaeus in Dragons of Legend. Exactly 12 years later. That's a long time. Now what I mean by this as well is prior to this, it was only classed as the Dark Magician series. Since to be an official archetype, you must have some support cards. This was something that the Dark Magician actually lacked. Keep in mind that this archetype also has the Dark Magician Girl archetype as a subsection. Since they are master and apprentice, the two work in perfect unison with each other. However, as I've already made a video on the Dark Magician Girls, they won't be covered in today's video. However, please go check that video out after this one if you haven't seen it already. It's probably worth mentioning too that as of the release of the Pendulum monsters that debuted in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, there has been a new Magician archetype. This archetype consists of cards like Stargazer Magician, Timegazer Magician, and the rest. These guys are not part of this archetype, but they could get a video in the future, so keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with the Dark Magician, known in the Japanese as Black Magician. His flavor text reads, quite simply, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. As one of the oldest and most recognizable cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh game, it's safe to assume this monster has had a few alternative artworks throughout its years. Let's take a look, shall we? We have its original first series Bandai card artwork, as well as its two Bandai shields. We have his first artwork, which to me is the most iconic, displaying him with purple hair and in the hand-on-hat, knees-bent pose. Keep an eye on this guy's hair color, it changes a lot. Next, we have his second artwork, which might be influenced from his Bandai or manga counterparts, what with his blonde hair. However, this Dark Magician has green skin. Personally, not one of my favorites. His third artwork is technically depicting a different Dark Magician. With tan skin, red garbs, and white hair, this Dark Magician was used by Arcana in the anime and manga. The other reason he is technically classed as a separate monster is due to the fact that he possesses a completely different 8-digit passcode to his original form. His fourth artwork shows Dark Magician in front of the Tablet of Lost Memories, a very important relic used to help recover the Pharaoh's memories. The fifth artwork is the special anniversary artwork created by Kazuki Takahashi, depicting a more realistic take on the Dark Magician. His sixth artwork shows the Dark Magician within his own arcane dark magical circle, and the final seventh artwork is the anniversary artwork of the Dark Magician that was adapted for the Dark Side of Dimensions movie release. The question becomes though, where did all these artworks' influences come from? Well, the first was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 3 Countdown. It was shown where he was attacking. The second was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 35, The Magic of the Maze, when he was being summoned. The third is from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 103, from two separate panels. One where both the Dark Magicians are facing off, and the other is when Arcana summons his Dark Magician for the first time. The fourth is from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 102, The Fatal Duel, when it was being summoned. And the sixth was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World Duel 63, The Master of Servants. Again, taken from when he was summoned. Now, if you want to go a little bit further than just the reskins of the Dark Magician, he has actually influenced many monsters throughout its years. Some of these counterparts include a Cyberse counterpart known as Cyberse Magician, a Toon counterpart which goes along with the Dark Magician Girl, known as Toon Dark Magician and Toon Dark Magician Girl, a Gagaga counterpart of these two, known as Gagaga Magician and Gagaga Girl, a younger counterpart to these two, known as Card Ejector and Miracle Flipper, as well as an older counterpart to the Dark Magician, known as Dark Sage. There are also a bunch more of these cards, however, we'll be covering most of them today, so let's not spoil them just yet. By the way, did you know that the ace monster of every main character of each Yu-Gi-Oh! Series follows a theme based on this monster, which has 2,500 attack, and in the original Bandai version also has 2,000 defense. That'll come in handy later. The Yu-Gi-Oh! GX ace monster wielded by Jaden Yuki is Elemental Hero Neos, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. The Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's ace wielded by Yusei Fudo is Stardust Dragon with 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. You see where I'm going with this. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal ace monster wielded by Yuma Tsukumo is number 39 Utopia, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 ace monster wielded by Yu Sakaki is Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns ace monster wielded by Yusaku Fujiki is Fireball Dragon, which has 2,500 attack, but it doesn't have any defense, so unfortunately it can't match it there. We can go even a little bit further than this as well, as the ace monsters in the manga that are different to those than them in the anime also follow the Dark Magician's attack value influence. The different ones are Jaden's Elemental Hero Terra Firma, Yusei's Stardust Spark Dragon, and Yuya Sakaki's Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. They all share that 2,500 attack. Looking at the Dark Magician's artwork, bits and pieces of him appear in other card artworks. For example, the actual Dark Magician card itself appears in the artworks of Exchange and E-Hero Pit Boss. Dark Magician's robes appear in the card Magician's Robes, and his staff appears in the artworks of Black Illusion and Magician's Rod. As well, the Dark Magical Circle is seen in the background of this monster's artwork. Palladium Oracle Mahad. I was going to call it Palladium, but I'm guessing it is Palladium, so yeah, Palladium Oracle Mahad. If I'm saying that wrong, guys, let me know, but Yeah. His effect is when you draw this card, you can reveal this card, special summon it from your hand. If this card battles a dark monster, its attack is doubled during the damage step only. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. This monster is a direct reference to the original Dark Magician way back from ancient Egypt, known as High Priest Mahad. As the story goes, in an attempt to defeat Thief King Bakura, he sacrificed his life and fused his spirit energy with his spirit monster, Illusion Magician, to become the Dark Magician. He did this so that he could always be by Atem's side, always able to serve him. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, you can see how perfectly this monster's effect reflects his backstory, since this monster's effect to special summon Dark Magician occurs after it is destroyed, just like how Mahad had to die in order to become the Dark Magician. This also actually feeds into his name of Palladium, as it refers to both a chemical element, which isn't that important technically, but more likely it is referring to the term Paladin, which means to be a source of protection, something that Mahad strived to do for the Pharaoh. There is also one last possible reference to ancient Egypt in this card's artwork. If we look at Oracle Mahad's belt, it almost looks like the Millennium Ring's pointers are jutting out from it. This is fitting, as in the past, the user of the Millennium Ring was Mahad himself. Keep in mind that the fact that this monster is based on a card from the past actually puts it on a very short list of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh series of the past. Other cards include Thief King Bakura as Gravekeeper's Heretic and Gravekeeper's Esper. Might be a little bit of Marrakesh Tar mixed in with that character, but it's a bit more Bakura to me. And the other card is Kasara as Maiden with Eyes of Blue, Dark Magician of Chaos. During the end phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can target one spell card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Dark Magician of Chaos once per turn. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, banish that opponent's monster. If this face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. Technically, in the Japanese, this monster is not an actual Dark Magician card. Though it is still a part of the archetype, its name does not contain this, which apparently means it doesn't actually count as a Dark Magician. However, despite this, Dark Magician of Chaos and its retrained counterpart, Magician of Black Chaos, are most obviously upgraded forms of the Dark Magician. This is made most evident by the effect of dedication through light and darkness, which specifically requires a Dark Magician to be tributed in order for a Dark Magician of Chaos to be summoned. Dark Magician of Chaos, sometimes abbreviated to DMARC, was the cover card for Invader of Darkness, Invasion of Chaos, Dark Revelations Volume 2, and Expert Edition Volume 2. However, his other form, Magician of Black Chaos, was the cover card for Premium Pack 1. This card had two very weird anomalies associated with its release. The first that occurred was that when this monster was released in Japan, it was in fact impossible to be summoned, as Black Magic Ritual was not released until months later. This unusualness carried over to the international release, since when Dark Magician Girl came out, this card did not become available until 4 years after that monster was released. The reason that this is odd is because the Dark Magician Girl's effect directly references this monster, so as such, it made part of effect virtually unusable. Finally, this monster appears in the artworks of Chaos Scepter Blast, which is a reference to its English attack name, Scepter Strike, whereas its name in the Japanese was spelled of Destruction, Death, Ultima. Skilled Dark Magician. His effect is, each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card when that spell resolves. Maximum of 3. You can tribute this card with 3 spell counters on it to special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So, the skilled Dark Magician is, of course, the skillful counterpart to the Dark Magician. Now follow me here for a second. Dark Magician has a warrior counterpart known as Buster Blader, who has a skillful counterpart known as the skilled White Magician. There's also the skilled Red Magician, who can summon an Archfiend monster, as well as the skilled Blue Magician, who can summon a Gaia the Fierce Night monster. So, looking at all the monsters that can be summoned through the skilled magicians, they basically can all summon Yugi's best monsters. Pretty cool. Going a little bit further, the skilled Dark Magician is the complete opposite to the skilled White Magician, as they have opposite color schemes and attributes. Their attack and defenses are reversed, and while skilled White Magician special summons a warrior, skilled Dark Magician summons a spellcaster. It is also worth mentioning as well that the skilled Dark Magician is not technically a Dark Magician card, just like Dark Magician of Chaos. Though it is still a part of the archetype, the fact that its Japanese name does not contain this, it's technically not the same. Magician of Dark Illusion. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field. You can only use each of these effects of Magician of Dark Illusion once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell, trap card, or effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you activate a spell or trap card or effect while this card is face up on the field, except during the damage step, you can target one Dark Magician in your graveyard, special summon it. The effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. So, this guy has the reverse attack and defense of the Dark Magician. This is interesting because, believe it or not, we actually referenced this card a little bit earlier. Remember Mirage, the man who would eventually become the original Dark Magician? Well, he sacrificed his life to fuse with his spirit monster, the Illusion Magician. Knowing that, it would be pretty safe to assume that this card is the representation of that event. Going further, it would even explain this monster's effect, since it immediately becomes the Dark Magician when it hits the field, and is able to special summon a Dark Magician from the grave. Dark Magician Knight. Can't be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with Knight's title, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card is special summoned, target one card on the field, destroy that target. The warrior counterpart to the Dark Magician, this monster can only be summoned with the spell card, Knight's Title. Now, Knight's Title, to me, acts like something seen in some Japanese role-playing games, in order to respec your character's class. For example, to use a game that I am currently playing, in Octopath Traveler, you are able to change a character's class with a secondary one at certain shrines. In my game, I've turned my cleric Ophelia into a cleric who is also proficient as a warrior. That didn't last too long though, because I've got the dancer class now, so I put that on with her and it works really well. She's like an awesome support character. We're not talking about Octopath. I'm sorry, I just need to talk about it for a bit. Dark Magician Knight clearly keeps his spellcaster heritage, as he has one of the most awesome attack animations in the anime, where he is able to power up his sword using his arcane magic, which is absolutely awesome to see. It's also worth mentioning that when looking at the artwork of Knight's Title, we can see the letter B, which is an obvious reference to its Japanese name of Black Magician. And fun fact, according to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling Legends Handbook, you can clearly see that Dark Magician Knight and Dark Flare Knight have had their pictures mixed up. Might as well quickly mention this as well. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling Legends Handbook, I noticed that some of the artworks and some of the pictures on that one, they are exactly the same as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sticker book that I used to have. Well, I still have it now, but I don't know. Which one of them came first? One of them's definitely cutting corners there, but interesting nonetheless. I just thought I'd show you because I have all of the stickers in this. Oh yeah. Dark Sage, or in the Japanese, he's known as Black Clothed Great Sage. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand or deck by attributing one Dark Magician immediately after applying the effect of Time Wizard, in which you called the coin toss right. When special summoned this way, add one spell card from your deck to your hand. Now, this monster had a pretty interesting debut in the anime. In fact, it was in my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Shenanigans video. So, I want to ask you guys if you think it's a shenanigan or a calculated side deck usage. Here we go. Let's set the stage. It's the Duelist Kingdom semi-finals. The duel between Yugi Moto and Joey Wheeler is well underway. Joey, at this point in the series, has gone from an awful duelist to being one attack away from defeating the soon-to-be King of Games himself. So Joey activates his Time Wizard's effect against Yugi's Dark Magician in order to weaken it. Keep in mind that the Time Wizard card was given to him by Yugi himself, so Yugi is very aware it's in his deck. The Time Ruler effect is successful, well done Joey, and the Dark Magician ages 1,000 years. So it's safe to say Joey is the victor, right? Well, it turns out Yugi had teched in the perfect counter to the Time Wizard for just this situation, the Dark Sage. Based on the anime, being aged 1,000 years allowed the Dark Magician to gain 1,000 years worth of knowledge, allowing him to mature into the Dark Sage. However, we know that in reality, this can only be summoned when the Time Wizard effect succeeds against a Dark Magician. So, regardless, when Dark Sage hits the floor, it means game over for Joey and victory for Yugi Moto. So the argument is, was it fair for Yugi to exploit his knowledge of Joey's deck by using a card Joey never knew about? Or, just like in real life, once you know what your opponent is playing, especially in a tournament situation, the best thing to do is side in the perfect counter cards for your opponent's playstyle. I'll let you guys be the judge. And just keep in mind, I am very aware that this is Season 1, and the rules hadn't really been established yet, but I don't know. Just thought I'd pose the question. Oh, and by the way, Time Wizard's Japanese name is Time Magician. So it's technically a part of the Dark Magician archetype. As well, due to its effect being one of the reasons that you can summon another Dark Magician card out as well, that's why it's technically a support card. Dark Eradicator Warlock, or in the Japanese, Black Executioner. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by attributing one Dark Magician, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Each time a normal spell card is activated, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. This card made its debut in Structure Deck 6, Spellcaster's Judgment, as the cover card for the deck. As such, Eradicator Warlock is an upgraded version of Dark Magician, since they both share the same attack, defense, level type, and attribute. However, now it has an effect to special summon itself and can deal damage every time a spell is used. Looking at the monster's artwork as well, it is safe to assume that he is actually the Dark Magician, since you could put all the Dark Magicians in a specific evolution, which would go something like this. Miracle Flipper as the child form, Dark Magician as the teen form, Eradicator Warlock as the adult form, and Dark Sage as the elderly form. This monster appears in the artwork of Magical Blast, and fun fact, this is one of the very few upgraded Dark Magician cards that has never been used by Yugimoto himself. Sorcerer of Dark Magic, or Magic Hierophant of Black. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by attributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. I tell this story every time someone mentions this card. I'm sorry, but the wound still runs deep in me. Long ago, back in 2004, a young 11-year-old TGS anime went to see the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramid of Light movie at the cinema. As a promotion, what they were doing was giving away a free Yu-Gi-Oh! Card from the movie to each person that came. I invited my good friend from down the road called Michael. I thought to myself that it would be nice to see it with someone. Anyway, I let Michael go in front of me in the queue, and I see that he gets the Sorcerer of Dark Magic as his card. How awesome is that? And I was so excited to see what card I get. It was literally one of the best cards you could get, bar maybe Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. Everything else was just like kind of okay. Like it would have been cool to get one of the Sphinx cards, or the Pyramid of Light. Just the fact to have the Pyramid of Light is still pretty cool. Anyway, when my turn comes, do you know what I got? I got a water pond. A goddamn water pond. Never forgotten it to this day. Anyway, the Sorcerer of Dark Magic is one of the strongest variations of Dark Magician. It has the inverse attack and defense to the Dark Sage, in fact. As well, it has exactly 700 more attack and defense than its base form, the Dark Magician. Its attack name was known in the anime as Celestial Black Burning. Mirage Knight. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by Dark Flare Knight, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During damage calculation only, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of the opponent's monster it is battling. During the end phase of a turn this card attacked or was attacked, banish this card. In simple terms, this card is a Dark Magician wrapped inside of a Mirage Dragon. However, that's not necessarily true, as Mirage Knight was released before Mirage Dragon. As such, someone at Konami must have really liked this card, because 2 spin-off cards were produced from this card. One was the spell card Battle Fusion, which is based on the attack boosting ability of this card, as well as Mirage Dragon, which was created based on this monster's artwork. Allegedly, anyway. Allegedly. Finally, Mirage Knight's effect that if it battles something, it banishes itself, could be a reference to the essence of a real-life mirage. Since when you see a mirage, it seems so real, and then you go up to it, and then you try and... It's always the water, isn't it? It's the oasis. It's like the typical mirage. You see the water, and you go up to it, and it's like sand, and you're like, oh, it's fake. So, yeah. That's what I think of when I think of a mirage, anyway. Moving on to the extra deck monsters, Dark Flare Knight. Requires Dark Magician and Flame Swordsman. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 Mirage Knight from your hand or deck. Now, this card is a product of the friendship between Yugimoto and Joey Wheeler. As such, it was used during the Virtual World arc to combine both their current deck masters in order to create a brand new, more powerful one. I do say more powerfully loosely, as Dark Flare Knight is one of the rare fusion monsters that have lower attack and defense than its fusion materials. Dark Flare Knight also appears in the artworks of Fusion Weapon and the anime exclusive cards Spell Speed, Spell Fusion, and Mirage Target. Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Requires Dark Magician and 1 Dragon Monster. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard. Your opponent cannot target spells or traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Probably one of the most badass Dark Magician upgraded forms, here we see a Dark Magician, clad in medieval armor, brandishing a sword and a shield, whilst riding a legendary dragon. You can't get much better than that. Funnily enough though, my favourite Dark Magician Girl artwork is the counterpart to this card, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. I guess I'm just a sucker for knights in armor, I guess. As such, this card is the strongest monster in terms of attack and defense that includes the word Dark Magician in its card name. In case you're not in the know, the dragon seen here is the legendary dragon of Timaeus, which was wielded by Yugimoto in the Waking the Dragon's arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! However, this isn't the only dragon-riding Dark Magician. There's another one, and it's called Amulet Dragon. Requires Dark Magician and 1 Dragon-type monster, must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials, or with the Eye of Timaeus. If this card is special summoned, target any number of spell cards in the graveyard, minimum of 1, banish those targets, and if you do, this card gains 100 attack for each card banished by this effect. If this card is destroyed, you can target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Though this Dark Magician is not clad in armor, something interesting is happening. The glyphs bestowed upon the dragon are actually the symbols from the Enochian alphabet. This is unusual, as the antagonists in the Waking the Dragon's arc use an evil card known as the Seal of Orichalcos. The same symbols that appear around this monster also appear around the Seal of Orichalcos itself. As well, the Enochian alphabet is said to be the language of angels. Amulet Dragon might be infusing itself with the power of the enemy in order to make itself grow stronger. Dark Paladin. Requires Dark Magician and Buster Blader, must be fusion summoned. When a spell card is activated, quick effect, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. Gains 500 attack for each Dragon-type monster on the field and in the graveyard. Dark Paladin, like the Dark Magician, has a few artwork alternatives. Interestingly though, they came out in different orders depending on where you lived. For example, his first Japanese artwork is actually the International's second Dark Paladin artwork, and it was taken from the title page of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 203 as a friend. His second Japanese artwork is in fact the first international artwork released, and it was taken from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 202 Beyond Hatred, specifically from the panel where it was summoned. The only exception is the third artwork, which is actually the third artwork all over the world, and it was taken from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 203 as a friend as well. Speaking of the third artwork though, the background supernova looking object looks very similar to that of the card Diffusion Wave Motion, which was a spell card used in conjunction with Dark Paladin in order to defeat Seto Kaiba in the Battle City Finals. Dark Paladin was the cover card for Magician's Force and Duelist Pack Yugi, and based on this card being the fusion of the Dark Magician and Buster Blader, it could be safe to assume that these two monsters are the extremes of their respective classes. Dark Magician as a spellcaster and Buster Blader as a warrior. When the two are combined though, they create a new being with a perfect balance of these two classes. Ebon High Magician, or the Japanese, Ebon Void Magician. Requires 2 level 7 spellcaster type monsters. While this card has Xyz materials, you can activate a quick play spell card or trap card from your hand during your opponent's turn by detaching 1 Xyz material from this card at activation. If this Xyz summon card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this Xyz summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 Dark Spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck, then you can destroy 1 card on the field. A very different looking Magician card compared to the other Dark Magicians. This Xyz monster's requirements are 2 level 7 Spellcaster monsters, thus making the most perfect choice of overlay units to be the Dark Magician. This monster's ability to activate spells or traps from the hand could be a reference to a monster we talked about earlier, the Dark Sage, as the Dark Sage's anime effect allows you to activate spell cards during either player's turns as well. As such, this card could almost be looked at as the retrained counterpart to the Dark Sage, except, you know, much younger. Ebon Illusion Magician. Requires 2 level 7 monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a rank 6 spellcaster type Xyz monster you control as the Xyz material. Xyz materials attached to that monster monster also become Xyz materials attached to this card. Once per turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, special summon one spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. When a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use the effect of Ebon Illusion Magician once per turn. The name of this monster is a direct reference to Mahad's spirit monster, Illusion Magician, in the manga. It could also be looked at as the materialized version of the Illusion Magician, had it not been merged with Mahad. In fact, there is another card that could be a female counterpart to this monster, known as Magi Magician Gal, which I'm sad to say may never be released, as Kazuki Takahashi refuses to censor any more Magician Girl cards for international release. In fact, this comparison between Ebon Illusion Magician and Magi Magician Gal is fitting because it's further supported by the fact that this card's other Xyz summoning method, by using a rank 6 Xyz monster, the monster that can be directly used is Magi Magician Gal, because she's a rank 6 Xyz monster. It's perfect. Legendary Magician of Dark. Requires 3 level 7 monsters, must be Xyz summoned, it cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card attacks your opponent directly and reduces their life points to 0, while it has an Xyz material attached that was originally a spellcaster type monster, you win the match. As a match winner card, if this card is able to deal the finishing blow to your opponent, you don't just win the duel, you win the entire match. Let's quickly mention the elephant in the room. You're not actually allowed to play this card. It's illegal. You're not allowed to play it in tournaments or anything like that. And just to give you a quick bit of lore, why match winners are banned, believe it or not, it's not specifically to do with the fact that they're broken or too powerful or anything. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's because they promote bad dueling etiquette. See, in a tournament environment, you're allowed to surrender at any point in a duel, even as your opponent declares a direct attack with a match winner card. Due to this, it's pretty much impossible to get off the match winner's effect to those in the know. So to prevent this, they just banned them from tournament play and simply kept them as prize cards. They are very valuable, keep that in mind. Well, some are. Anyway, this card is the same attack, defense, rank if you turn it into a level, type, attribute as the Dark Magician. It is even shown in the same pose as the original Dark Magician's artwork. Hand on hat, knees bent, all that jazz. And if we look in the background of this monster's artwork, we can see 3 seals behind it, which are probably alluding to the 3 materials required for this monster's summon. FYI as well, since the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician are just so iconic in the game, not only does the Dark Magician have a match winner in Legendary Magician of Dark, but the Blue Eyes White Dragon also has an Xyz match winner called Legendary Dragon of White. Now then, let's finish this up with all of the Dark Magician support cards. The Eye of Timaeus, Dark Burning Magic, Dark Magic Attack, Dark Magic Curtain, Dark Magic Expanded, Dark Magic Inheritance, Dark Magic Veil, Dark Magical Circle, Dark Renewal, Black Illusion, Black Magic Ritual, Chaos Form, Chaos Scepter Blast, Dedication Through Light and Darkness, Eternal Soul, Illusion Magic, Knight's Title, Magic Formula, Magician's Navigation, Miracle Restoring, Sage's Stone, Thousand Knives. And woof! That is the entire Dark Magician archetype. I want to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you to my gold tier Patreon backers, You Know Light, J24092, CB, Barrett Jackson Daly, The Gengar King, Matthew Braithwaite, Chung Ling Zen, David Shanahan, Jack Sisson, and Jason Clegg. As well to everybody else, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye. The Magician Girl archetype is a group of spellcaster monsters who are all thematically based around the first of their members, the Dark Magician Girl. They all draw inspiration from the popular anime and manga genre, Maha Shoujo, known to us as magical girls. Most of the Magician Girl monsters have an effect that boosts a monster's stats, or that can special summon a monster to the field. You'll be surprised to hear that for one of the most recognizable and popular cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh game, the Magician Girl archetype is actually pretty small. Though some spin-off Magician Girl cards have been released here and there, it wasn't actually until 2016, with the release of the Dark Side of Dimensions movie, that new direct support was added to the archetype. This made it roughly 16 years between the Dark Magician Girl's release and her direct support card's release. Anyway, how about we look at each one of the Magician Girl cards, starting with the Dark Magician Girl. Her effect is she gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in the graveyard. First things first, it's interesting to note that though this monster references the Magician of Black Chaos in its card effect, Magician of Black Chaos would not actually be released until much later after this card's release, making part of its effects essentially unusable. In the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, Dark Magician Girl is the loyal apprentice to the Dark Magician. Her debut was in Yugi's duel against Arcana in the Battle City arc of the series. Her attack name was Black Burning in the Japanese version and Dark Magic Attack or Dark Burning Attack in the English version. Dark Magician Girl's card artwork has seen many variations throughout the years. She had her original artwork, which was altered for the international audiences by reducing her breast size, removing her cleavage, and getting rid of the pentagram symbol. There was her second artwork, which again had her breast size reduced and the pentagram removed for the international release. There was her third artwork with the iconic knees bent and hand on hat look, just like the Dark Magician's original design, which you won't be surprised also had its breast size reduced, her cleavage covered by her top, and her pentagram removed for the international release. And there is her fourth design, which is her anniversary artwork. This depicts her riding her own magic rod. So far, this artwork doesn't have an international version. This is because the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Kazuki Takahashi, refused to censor her artwork for international release. I don't blame him, to be honest. You should be able to draw your characters how you want. As well, there is a fifth artwork, which had probably the slightest amount of changes, but changes nonetheless. As well, there's a dual art book artwork. There's a lot of art. And lastly, this is the artwork from the anime. There you go. Dark Magician Girl appears as the cover card for Premium Pack 4. As well, she appears in the artworks of Dark Burning Attack, Dark Burning Magic, Dark Magic Inheritance, Dark Magic Expanded, Magician's Navigation, Magician's Defense, as well as in the anime exclusive cards Dark Magic Twin Burst and bonds between teacher and student. There's a Gagaga counterpart to both this monster and the Dark Magician, known as Gagaga Girl and Gagaga Magician. It is also believed that there are two younger counterparts to these monsters known as Card Ejector and Miracle Flipper. As well, there is a Toon counterpart to this monster and the Dark Magician. Toon Dark Magician Girl and Toon Dark Magician. Speaking of counterparts, this monster comes in literally 6 different flavors and levels. We have the level 1 berry flavored Magician Girl, the level 2 lemon flavored Magician Girl, the level 3 apple flavored Magician Girl, the level 4 chocolate flavored Magician Girl, the level 5 kiwi flavored Magician Girl, and of course the level 6 human flavored Magician Girl.
You fight me with fruit? Don't mock me!
A magical thing that you can do with these Magician Girls is if you place them in order of their actual levels, they spell out the word black, which is a direct reference to the Dark Magician Girl's original name in the Japanese, Black Magician Girl, which is of course a reference to black magic. How about we take a look at each one of these flavored Magician Girls, starting with Berry Magician Girl. If this card is normal summon, you can add 1 Magician Girl monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card, or targets this card for an attack, you can change this card's battle position, and if you do, special summon 1 Magician Girl monster from your deck, except Berry Magician Girl. Just like all the other Magician Girls, this monster too received an artwork change for the international release. Though this one was not changed for being too juicy like the other counterparts, it was changed due to the pentagram star on her outfit, instead being made into a jewel to avoid any demonic or religious connotations. Each one of the Magician Girl variants have a unique effect. Berry's is that it is the only one whose effect specifically special summons a Magician Girl monster instead of any spellcaster monster. It is also the only member who cannot change the attack target of an opponent's monster from itself to the special summon monster, as well as halve the current attack of the opponent's monster. Lemon Magician Girl. Once per turn, you contribute 1 Magician Girl monster, except Lemon Magician Girl. Add 1 spellcaster type monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, if this card is targeted for an attack, you can special summon 1 spellcaster monster from your hand, but its effects, if any, are negated. Then change the attack target to it, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes half its current attack. Lemon Magician Girl must have left a sour taste in people's mouths because she too had to be changed for international releases, which was that the outline around her breasts was completely erased. And this monster's unique effect is that it is the only monster to negate the effects of the monster that it special summons. Apple Magician Girl. Once per turn, if this card is targeted for an attack, you can special summon one level 5 or lower spellcaster type monster from your hand. Then change the attack target to it, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes half its current attack. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target up to 3 other Magician Girl monsters with different names in your graveyard, add them to your hand. The core of this monster's original artwork troubles stems, of course, from her cleavage. So, for the international release, they covered it with a black cloth. They also removed the garters from her legs, plus her skirt was lengthened at the back. Apple Magician Girl is actually unique in 2 distinct ways. One is that she's the only one of the Magician Girls who doesn't use a wand. She's also the only fire monster used by Yugimoto in the anime, with the only other exception to this being the Flame Swordsman, except in that case it was lent to Yugi by Joey, so it's okay. Speaking of fire, Apple Magician Girl also shares a lot in common with Jade and Yuki's elemental hero Bastinatrix. For example, they both follow a red colour theme, both are female monsters who share the same attributes, attack and defense. Finally, this monster appears in the artwork of Magician's Defense. Chocolate Magician Girl. Once per turn, you can discard one spellcaster type monster, draw 1 card. Once per turn, if this card is targeted for an attack, you can target one spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, except Chocolate Magician Girl, special summon it. Then change the attack target to it, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes half its current attack. This monster's sweet taste was not appreciated outside Japan, as her breast size was reduced. Her top was extended upward to cover her cleavage. As well, they removed the hole in the center of her chest to hide her underboob. As well, the garters on her legs were removed. These girls just cannot dress the way they want to, can they? The unique aspect of this monster is that this monster is the only one of the flavored Magician Girls not to be named after a type of fruit, instead being named after chocolat. An interesting similarity is that this monster shares the same attack, defense level and type as Breaker the Magical Warrior, Rogue Doll and Star Drawing. Breaker is probably the most interesting one, as they are both cards used by Yukimoto in the anime. Kiwi Magician Girl. During either player's turn, you can discard this card. Magician Girl monsters you currently control gain 300 attack and defense for each Magician Girl monster with different names on the field and in the graveyard, until the end of this turn. Spellcaster type monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent cannot target them with card effects as well. For your information, Kiwi Magician Girl is the only one of the flavored Magician Girls not to receive an artwork change for the international release. This is most likely due to none of her skin actually being shown, apart from her face. Congratulations, Kiwi Magician Girl, you well done. Interestingly, if we take all of the artworks of all of these monsters, it appears like the Dark Magician Girl is at the center with the heart, with all the others circling around her. Lastly, this monster's unique effect is the fact that she is the only one of the flavored Magician Girls to not have an effect that special summons a spellcaster monster when it is attacked. Magician's Valkyria. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target face-up spellcaster type monsters for attacks except this one. Now, this monster's name is derived from Norse mythology's Valkyries, who were beings who served Odin himself, choosing those on the battlefield that were destined to live or die in the field. This is perfect, as Magician's Valkyria's effect makes it so that when she hits the field, the only monster that can be killed on the battlefield is herself, essentially dictating who lives and dies on the field. Magician's Valkyria is a counterpart to Dark Magician Girl in the same way that Dark Paladin is the counterpart to the Dark Magician. Looking at this monster and the Dark Magician Girl, it can be assumed that the artwork may have been flipped at some point, as the seal in the background is mirrored in comparison to how it should look. Also, Valkyria holds her wand in her left hand, unlike Dark Magician, who is right-handed. Also, her attack name is Magic Illusion in the original and Mystic Scepter Blast in the dub. Apprentice Illusion Magician. You can special summon this card from your hand by discarding 1 card. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. During damage calculation, if your other Dark Spellcaster monster battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or face-up face-up from your field to the graveyard. That monster you control gains 2000 attack and defense during that damage calculation only. Apprentice Illusion Magician's design is based on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and manga character Mana, who was a childhood friend of Atem, as well as being the apprentice to Mahad, with Mahad being the individual who would eventually become the Dark Magician. And this monster takes a lot of inspiration as well to a few of Yugi's cards. For example, it features the artwork of Dark Magical Circle in the background. It shares the same attack, defense, level, attribute, and type to the Dark Magician Girl. As well, its summoning effect is the same as the Tricky's, and its other effect resembles that of Dark Magic Twin Burst. Magi Magician Gal. Requiring 2 level 6 spellcaster type monsters to be summoned, once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card and banish 1 card from your hand, then activate one of these effects. Target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase. Target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field. So far, this is the only Xyz upgrade to the Dark Magician Girl. She serves as a possible counterpart to either Ebon Illusion Magician, as through Magi Magician Gal, Ebon Illusion Magician can be summoned to the field. She could also be the female counterpart to Sorcerer of Dark Magic, as both of these monsters need level 6 spellcaster type monsters for their summon, and they are the strongest variations of their base forms. The artwork of this card is derived from the anniversary artwork created by Kazuki Takahashi for the Dark Magician Girl and the Dark Magician. In this artwork, it gives them more of a darker tone, contrasted with a more realistic design. According to Kazuki Takahashi himself in his dual art book, this art was originally intended to be just another Dark Magician Girl artwork, in order to simply be the anniversary counterpart to the Dark Magician. However, it was instead made into its own card. Just like how Kazuki Takahashi refuses to censor the art of the anniversary Dark Magician Girl, again, this card most likely won't see an international release for quite some time. And though its sexual connotations are very little, it does feature an ankh on her chest, which of course Kazuki Takahashi refuses to censor. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. Requires Dark Magician Girl plus 1 dragon monster, must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials or with the Eye of Timaeus. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy that target. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, is the counterpart to Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight himself, and Amulet Dragon. Personally, one of my favourite Dark Magician Girl artworks, due to the simple fact anything in ye olde armour looks awesome to me. But interestingly, this is actually one of the rare cases where a Dark Magician Girl card is not actually censored at all for the international release. Well done. This monster is the cover card for Dragons of Legend Unleashed, and Collector's Pack Duelist of Legend version. Finally, here are all the support cards for the archetype I could find. Dark Burning Magic, whose effect is, if you control a monster whose original names are Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, destroy all cards your opponent controls. Dark Magic Expanded, apply these effects in sequence, based on the number of Dark Magician and or Dark Magician Girl on the field or in the graveyard. 1 or more, 1 Dark Spellcaster type monster on the field gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. 2 or more, this turn your opponent can activate cards and effects in response to your spell and trap cards, or effect activation. Also, spell and trap cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. 3 or more Dark Spellcaster monsters you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. Magic Formula, equip only to a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, it gains 700 attack. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, gain 1000 life points. Magician's Defense, while you control a Spellcaster type monster, any damage you take is halved. You cannot halve the same damage twice this way. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 Spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Dark Burning Attack, if you control a Dark Magician Girl monster, destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. Dark Magic Inheritance, banish 2 spell cards from your graveyard, add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in its text, except Dark Magic Inheritance. You can only activate 1 Dark Magic Inheritance per turn. Magician's Navigation, special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon 1 level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster from your deck. If you control Dark Magician, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls. It has its effects negated until the end of this turn. Sage's Stone. If you control a face-up Dark Magician Girl, special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand or your deck. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's Patreon thank you time, so thank you very much to Light, J24092.
So, alright, y'all know we on our way up out of here. Thanks for tuning in to Team DWC presents Spider Pig. Y'all make sure y'all check out the links in the description. And always hit the buy me a coffee so y'all can help support the channel. Sign up or donate, whichever one y'all want to do. That's on y'all.
From a web. No, we can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig.